Vice President of the EU Commission, Mr. Andrus Ansip, Vladimir Besko, CEO of InfoPark Belarus, and Vytautas Vitkauskas, Coordinator of ADM Working Group in InfoBalt, Lithuania. Ladies and gentlemen, the topic of we have today is the Eastern Partnership part, the Eastern Partnership chapter of the digital single market strategy. And first of all, I would like to ask you for one single sentence about your portfolio, your connection to the strategy itself, and the reason, again, in one sentence, very briefly, why it's important for you personally and policy-wise, why it's important for you, this strategy itself and its Eastern Partnership dimension. Please.
Do you hear me? Okay. Today I represent Digital Europe, which is the voice of the European digital technology industry, with the membership of 59 corporate members and 35 trade associations across Europe, with 10,000 of the businesses and 2 million employees. And now I want to feel you a big switch. How we were rewiring the world from the Edison to Google Age. Video, please. Data is new oil of the information age, and the big data is a fuel of Internet of Things, Internet of Everything economy. There is no separate digital economy. The whole economy right now is a digital. And if the Commissioner Ansip yesterday said that we almost have the single market in Europe, unfortunately, we don't have the single digital market there. However, digital is without borders. And how we can make Europe bigger? I think Europe should be opened, and open for digital entrepreneurship, innovation, and digital trade without obstacles. And we need to take the political leadership and responsibility to make this change happen. I think this is the last chance for Europe to transform and to become a competitive economy worldwide. And I'm passing the microphone to our politician to comment on this.
Okay, thank you very much, dear professionals, colleagues, friends. My name is Linas Balsys. I'm a member of Lithuanian Parliament, and I am a vice chairman of the Committee on the European Affairs. And on behalf of this committee and its chairman, Mr. Gediminas Kirkilas, I want to congratulate this great event, Switch, and this conference today. Yesterday, we had a very fruitful, long, and good debate with the Commissioner, Vice President, Mr. Andris Ansip, exactly on these issues. Why it was in the European Affairs Committee? Because, as Vilma rightly told, this is at the moment not only professional or technical issue. This is a political issue, especially when we speak about the Eastern Partnership and the politics related with this. We cannot in Lithuania to have our own or alone policy towards Belarus or towards other Eastern Partnership countries. We have to have a common joint policy of the European Union. Such policy exists. The name is the Eastern Neighborhood and the Eastern Partnership in the Eastern Neighborhood framework. But the problem is political, and maybe today we will try to answer some questions which we were not able to answer yesterday, not because Mr. Ansip was not competent, but because it's not possible to answer many questions. Countries of the Eastern Partnership are very different. If you take Belarus, it's one thing. If you take Armenia, it's another thing. If you take Georgia or Azerbaijan, it's a third thing. So, but a digital market is coming to all these countries. We in Lithuania and the Baltic states, which are the frontier, the eastern frontier of the European Union, we can, and I personally think we must become a hub of digital market penetration or proliferation towards the east. So how can we do that? What political measures need to be taken? What political decisions or laws or the EU regulations must be amended? That's the point which I think we have to raise up the question and find out the answers. So I hope in this our short debate we will try to do that. Thank you.
Laba diena. Atsiprašu, kad negalju kalbetu jumis lietuviskai. I learned this sentence roughly 10 years ago, I think. The person who taught me this has also participated in this conference, so for me it's also a good trip back to some good memories. But I would also like to go back to the basics of giving the reasons why we deal with the digital single market in the EU. The key figure to remember is that the EU policies that address the single market in general would give 900 billion of additional value per year. Each year, 900 billion of extra value, money. And how much of that is from the digital single market? The potential is huge. It's the biggest component. The digital single market is the biggest component or contributor to the single market project. It's roughly, has been estimated, to 415 billion euros of annual value. To put that into the context, I also noticed a lot of school-aged students in the audience. They have now left, but nevertheless, some maths elements for your information. So the context is, for this 900 billion, which is roughly 1 trillion, this would be added to the whole economy of the EU, which is 14 trillion. So adding 1 trillion to 14 is basically the significance what the single market can have. And half of it is from the digital single market. So that's a pretty good reason. Why we deal with the Eastern Partnership countries is, of course, that digital has no borders, as Vilma mentioned, And we don't really want to build a fortress Europe by the digital single market. We don't want to exclude the companies or the people from elsewhere in the world. We normally talk about China and having an agreement with Chinese on how to develop the 5G. We talk about USA and what to do now with safe harbor topic. But we should not forget our closest neighbors as well. These can be the immediate steps that can follow after the completion of the digital single market, how to expand even more.
Yes.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I am Vytautas Vitkauskas, HDM coordinator for InfoBalt Association, Lithuania. Maybe you heard about this association. I am feeling today great satisfaction and happiness. The initiative that was first announced during the Lithuanian presidency of the Council of the European Union in 2013 by two information technologies associations, InfoBalt Lithuania and InfoPark Belarus. And now this HDM initiative is rise to European level and is accepted by the officials of Europe community. And officially HDM panel is launched, and the first meeting will be in Brussels on the 17th and 18th of November. We are very glad that really we are talking about the harmonization of the digital market, about the cross-border services covering not only Europe community, but our East Partnership countries, our neighbors, Belarus, Ukraine, Moldova, Azerbaijan, Armenia, Georgia, and it is absolutely in resonance with the just not far ago announced Europe Digital Single Market Strategy. So this makes my happiness twice. And we, of course, understand, and it was told yesterday, and Mr. Ansip was also showed that he really is the main chief and the right person. And we are very glad of this, who is managing a digital single market strategy in Europe. Really to have results not on the paper, but to have real in the virtual world, to cut the borders not only in the Europe Union, but also for our neighbors. It is really, we all need very strong political will. And here, this political will, as we see, have different levels. We must have political will on the national level to force our government structures really to unify these e-services for us and not to spend the time in the rows, but to see comfortably at home and to have these services from your computer. Then we are coming to the Europe community level. And here, as it was said yesterday, also there are a lot of borders based on the history of the countries that are united in the Europe community. And of course, a lot of different standards of technological and law and so on. Then we are coming, if we are talking about HDM initiative, we are coming to the international level. And here, of course, these problems will be much more complicated. But as everybody knows, we must be optimistic, because the trade, it is the only thing that forces different countries, no matter what it is regime, capitalism, socialism, or it is Islamic countries, to talk and to find solutions. If you want to sell, if you want to buy, you must find these solutions, how the goods and the money must be transferred to one country to another. Coming back to the HDM initiative, in generally, it is appointed that there are 14 main directions that is covering all e-services, starting from e-health, e-skills, e-customs, e-trade, and others. And all this means that here we must join the forces, not only on the national level to make the working groups, the companies who are interested in these projects, but also these groups must be organized on the international level. Only in that case we can suspect success. On the recent day, from these 14 main directions are chosen 6 directions, and we hope that the first pilot projects will start probably at the end of this year, or maybe it will be declared that we are starting, and we hope that still Lithuania will be the coordinator of these activities, and we are asking, of course, the help of the Mr. Ansip cabinet to be to take patronage on this important initiative, and we hope that we will get success. I am talking too long. Thanks.
Thank you. So your personal and policy-wise motivations about this Eastern connection in digital markets?
First of all, I would like to give you a short story about, but according to my opinion, is very important to know how the children is born, or even any initiative born to. Many years, I am from Belarus. I am representing Software Engineering Association InfoPark. Our industry is fastly growing industry, our main market is United States. Second one is European Union. Many years we are discussing between us, Belarus, and our very friendly neighbors, how we could cooperate each other to make, I can say, synergetical effect through the different positioning in different economic and social and political zone. 2 years, more exactly 2 years, we are discussing in framework of biggest ICT European Union event here in Vilnius what we could do, and idea was born. We need a platform to, I can say, to start a real big macro, operations, if you want. Baltic states, especially Lithuania and Belarus. It's focusing for software engineering industry. During a year and a half, we were making a huge work to establish the initiative politically. We earn many experience, how we can deal with European Commission, with European Parliament, with our governmental institution, we are business representative. And now I can say we're ready to make a next step, to deploy the initiative. Maybe I passed, but I would like to stress your attention that the initiative was established by 2 declarations. Riga Declaration on Eastern Partnership Summit in Riga, this year, and then Ministerial Declaration in Luxembourg, June this year. What is important? For this kind of initiative, there is a risk to make the initiative too bureaucratic. I can say, mostly like a manifest, but not as a real job, not the real project. Now we're trying to establish a right panel, a right portfolio of projects, and what most important, we are raising a right people who is sharing with us the idea
what is this initiative, what we could reach in business sense, in personal sense, even in political sense for EP, European Parliament members, for European Commission employees, etc. Yeah, I am optimistic because we have right partners from a European Union side. Yeah, I have a few proposals. I will give you for a panel for the EU sitting in the opposite me in coming minutes. Yeah, but it's my incoming words. Thank you for your visit.
Thank you so much. You all seem to be quite optimistic about this whole digital single markets initiative. Let me be the skeptical one in the room. So at least I miss two things in the strategy. The first is a clear list of priorities. So we have cybersecurity, we have telecommunications regulation, we have startups, we also have copyright issues, we have research and education. What should be the major priorities for the Eastern dimension, at least? And the second thing I missed, or at least I think it's a challenge, so can we make any serious step further in the digital market unification without a single regulator? So we still don't have a European body, a European institution with the right competencies and mandate to regulate the member states. Not only in our topic, not only the member states, but also the European market. So the priorities and the question of the single regulator. I'm pretty curious about your opinion about that. Who should we start? Probably the Commission.
Is it the EU Commission of the Parliament or the European Commission?
European Commission is always
Okay.
So the EU Commission.
Thank
Yeah.
I mean, the prioritization of different topics is the only real step that has been achieved so far in the HDM, harmonization of the digital markets project. Mm-hmm. There has been the extensive study on the 6 digital markets of the partnership countries, relating this to the acquis and to the situation in the European Union. So it's the researchers have provided the information, what is in their view, the key topics where to cooperate. But I would like to reflect, I would like to reflect on what our Belarusian colleague just said, that this has been a bottom-up development from the beginning. And if it turns out to be too much about political declarations, ministerial meetings, panels and platforms, then the energy is all put in the place where the outcome is close to none. And what is also true, and what's been said, is that these 6 countries are fairly different, and maybe the differences are even getting bigger in the course of time. It's really up for the engagement of the EU member states and the 6 partnership countries to seek good project ideas. We need actual pilot projects to be implemented for this HDM project to be to prove it successful. I also noticed that the introduction to this panel mentioned the question of financing. Mm-hmm. And the EU is also often referred to as a donor organization or a donor partner. And this it might be the case in many times, but we have empirical evidence, let's say so, that the EU finances can also in many times be the sweet poison that many crises within the European Union have been caused by the
especially in innovation.
Exactly. So let's try to avoid that, and let's try to figure out what is the good idea for a cooperation project, and let's not worry so much about where the money is. To your second, to the second element of your question, the single regulator, we don't have any regulators in the panel, and the problem is that that the national organizations themselves are not motivated to have bigger powers, and eventually you need to ask whether the regulatory aspect is the one that is lagging behind, or is it the good ideas that should come from a bottom-up approach? Is it political decisions? Is it legislative action which is lacking? So I'm not sure that maybe I did not understand your question, but I'm not sure that the regulatory, the implementation phase of rules is something that is lagging behind. And from the previous panel in this room, we also heard the Estonian CIO saying that or questioning, should we really need more government? I mean, do the businesses, do the citizens really wake up in the morning, I need more government? I need more regulatory powers over me. It's probably not. It's the driver for the SMEs to start up, to have e-commerce solutions is probably something else. The driver for the government to implement more e-services is probably something else. It's not the regulatory thing. So so this is my view on the single regulator.
Mm-hmm.
Hello. Okay. Thank you very much. It's very good we have a representative of the European Commission here among us, because for us, national governments and national politicians, it's always a very good excuse to blame on everything what's wrong with the European Commission. So if something is wrong, the European Commission is guilty, not we, the national parliamentarians especially. No, but I'm joking. We can talk about, you know, e-commerce, e-governance, e-banking, e-money, even entire country, Estonia. But in the reality, what effect do we have? What effect can we have in the cooperation, in the cross-border cooperation with the Eastern Partnership countries? Unfortunately, we only have one colleague from Belarus for representing the Eastern Partnership. We don't have other representatives. But even the Belarusian example brings a lot of ideas to think about and to find the solutions. One of the questions we raised yesterday in the very fruitful meeting in the European Affairs Committee with Mr. Ansip was pretty technical, but on the other hand, pretty political, and indeed related with the democratic developments in Belarus. I know you have elections in a few days' time, so I wish you success for the Belarusian people. I mean, what I mean, the technical issue, for instance, the spectrum, the radio spectrum, and the digital dividends, so-called in the European slang, Euro jargon, is European dividends 1 and 2. It's when you switch to the digital television, you can free up the certain amount of radio spectrum, the frequencies for digital services. So in our case, we have 700 megahertz problem in Lithuania, and I think in the Baltic other states too. We can easily move from there and free it up for very good, very important high-speed radio digital data projects or businesses. But for this, we need to solve a problem with Belarus and Russia. because these countries using it first for the television needs, secondly they're using it for the military air and navigation radar systems. And this is a problem which needs a solution, because this could be a very good instrument for a fruitful cooperation even with the Belarus. But alone we can't solve it. So we need, I asked yesterday support from Mr. Ansip. He promised indirectly that maybe the European Commission can help us to negotiate with Russia and Belarus, you know, on how to switch from 700 megahertz for all the countries, Baltics and Belarus and Russia at the same time, and prolong the digital market of this radio spectrum in order to use all together. So otherwise, if we don't have technical means, we can only just talk about everything. We need to have instruments. So the 700 megahertz is just one of the instruments. We don't know what developments will be in Belarus. I don't expect very much changes in the political scenery. Let's be open and frank here. And then there comes the problem of democracy. Some countries like to control everything what's on internet and everything what floats free, the data information among them. So if we don't have, you know, certainty, and if we cannot be sure that in these our partner countries the democratic level will develop together with the technological level, then there's no sense to talk about the technological cooperation, no sense to talk about the harmonization of digital market, because first of all we need to harmonize democratic market, the same HDM, harmonizing democratic market, I would call, you know, the another topic. So it's so complex that, you know, we can speak about the priorities, but at the same time we need to find the very technical solutions, work on the political front to develop democracy in these countries. And Belarus is not the only one country. All six are having one better or you know, bigger or lesser democratic problems. And here we, European Union, must come in and do everything in one, so to say, big package. And that's why I proposed in our parliament, and I'm very glad my colleagues agreed on this, and in November we will have another conference on creating a Lithuanian digital strategy, which would include not only technical things, not only 700 megahertz, but also democratic things as a deal, as a package, as a part of the package deal. So that's what the way we should go, I think.
Do you hear me? Okay. As a point of view from the digital industry, European digital industry perspective, I would say that we need to follow the principle that let businesses to make this digital business and agree themselves what they can do. So only the regulators should interfere, or let's say to make this legislation when it is necessary. The second principle, this legislation should be made in the dialogue with the business, with academia, because sometimes, you know, we follow the things that, especially in the new member states, you know, the intergovernmental instrument is fragmented, and there are a bit lack of the consultations with the digital industry. The third important thing, I would say that, you know, you saw that internet by United Nations in 2011, it was declared as a fundamental human right. It should stay open, free, but it should be secure. If we want to make our operations, deliver our services, they should be secure and they should be trusted. I think this is very important, a priority we need to tackle.
Is that possible at the same time?
Well, it's really challenging, you know, it's really challenging, but I would say that if the stakeholders and the governments work together, the progress is possible. And the second important thing, I would say, because these services, the goods, intangible goods, digital books, music, films, flow across, these without the borders. So we can't stay longer with 28 different legislations. We really need to have business models which could let Lithuanians to access the books and films at the UK portals. And unfortunately, it was promises for 10 years from the Commission side. There are dozens of the decisions from the European Court of Justice, but nothing is moving forward. And I think that's, and I can name other things, but I will pass the micro to my colleague.
Everything is right, but as I said, trade makes the world move, and trade makes the world, different countries, to find solutions and to understand each other, how the goods and how the money must go and could go from one country to another. And of course, it's always better, and for us, the quality of our life is much more better when we are losing much more less time on these operations. And I think that anyway, yes, political decisions is very important, but as it was in another panel said, really politicians understand what it is cybersecurity, what it is the procedures of the money transaction in the virtual world and other things. And here, of course, they must get a strong support, and they must not avoid this from the private sector, from the business. And we want to make business, we want to make money, we want to make these e-services, especially e-government services, more effective. Maybe it is sense to think about this also on the political level, that the e-services must be strictly developed by the business, not by the government structures to have their own IT departments spending, losing the money, and not making these e-services to be effective and to be comfortable to us. Business and money must drive these things, and so that's why we are talking that HDM initiative is also directed to this direction. And as example, I can say, I'm not marketing the Belarus, but it is a fact. Coca-Cola is writing all the software in Belarus, and there are companies who are in the New York Stock Exchange. Money. We don't have the companies in Lithuania that is a New York Stock Exchange. Just small remark. Thanks.
So just a question. As far as I understood, research and education cooperation is already underway in this eastern dimension, so it's already established. What about the startup thing? So you raise trade and commerce as the single most important priority of this whole story. How this eastern dimension will help the startups of Belarus, of Ukraine, of Georgia, and the other countries to achieve the goal? As I read somewhere that the most important goal is for a startup is to making them able to reach the European market in a month after the founding point. So how exactly this whole cooperation will help the small and middle-sized companies and especially technological startups in the eastern part of the region? How exactly, how directly, how technically it will help them?
I would like to tell a few words about previous topic.
Yeah.
Sorry. First of all, about what is the first, democracy, progress, or digitalization? I think that digital tools mechanism is a good way to make more democracy. The mere world without borders, why using digital mechanism, technologies, etc. Yeah, Yeah, I mean that in case we will have progress in digitalization of our countries, we could make a progress in a democratization process. For me, digitalization is the first. About priorities, what we could do in coming months, in coming year, I think that the best topic to find the pilot projects in framework of HDM initiative is e-trade, is a digital trade, means interstate trade, because we are trying to make border less than we have now. And for this, we could think about the Baltic states and Belarus like a pilot zone to develop different kind of digital infrastructure, digital services. And we need to make a huge engineering job from software engineering to social engineering, makes to develop the law, to change different kind of institution, social relations, etc. We have a good sample, Estonian sample. I guess we could spread this experience to Baltic states and Belarus, especially in digital trade. I can say it's my proposal for my partners, our partners, and to the European Parliament, to the European Commission, and Digital Europe especially, to think about the focus. Thanks.
Just a very short remark before I have to leave in a few minutes. You raised up a very good question on how to do it concretely, and there is quite a good answer to that question. That's a comprehensive, deepened, free trade association agreement with the Eastern Partnership countries. That's a very, very important thing which brings all these countries one great step closer to the European Union. At the moment, unfortunately, we only have 3 countries which are signatories and ratified this type of FTA. This is the Ukraine, Georgia, and Moldova. Belarus and Azerbaijan are not yet the signatories. Why it is so important? It is important because it's an entire enormously big and deep package of everything, of rules, of trade, of Europeanization, the package of laws, you know, and the countries which signed the FTA and association agreements, they are obliged to do reforms in their countries, to change the laws, to change the rules, to go the democracy way. And in this also includes digital issues, because this is related with the very modern and high tech, the highest technologies. So I think for the first thing, what we can do in Europe is to work with the countries which are already signatories of the FTA and association agreement, and wait and to fight and urge and ask the other countries to sign this. Because otherwise, you know, we cannot go 28, as Vilma rightly said, 28 different ways. We have to go one clear way under one clear European rules. So that's what I can say.
And my small remark before you are leaving, we are not standing in place. Lithuania is the only country in Europe community who has signed agreement with Belarusian government for collaboration in IT sector. Future is our.
Thank you, Linus, very much. We know that you need to run to the television studio. And answering the moderator's question, SMEs are the drivers of digital economy. You know, the activities generate the value added. And I think that the main issue is to simplify the rules, you know, simplify the legal framework for them, to go broadly, to make this framework favorable with the financial policy. So yesterday there was a discussion, I think it was Google representative, I guess, raised that how many companies which established in Europe were successful going broadly also to the United States? There's the opposite way. The company, which is a startup, they look the ways to establish themselves in Silicon Valley or around, and then to go broadly. That was, you know, almost the same story with the Spotify, with some others. So I think that the simplification, the rules for digital business, favorable tax policy, you know, this is a crucial for SMEs businesses flourish.
Do you have any precise vision about how a Georgian or a Ukrainian startup would profit from the initiative? A very technical example, a concrete example, which can help us imagine the situation a few years from now.
I was at the hotel yesterday. I was watching the, I don't know, BBC, CNN, and Georgia was advertising herself as the place where it's easy to do business, plus it's an entering point to the EU market, 500 million consumers. That's attractive for any SME. Now the problem is, and what's the concrete thing that needs to be done, is in the digital single market. And the Vice President Ansip has given these examples up to that point, that in the physical world, you can go to Paris, you can buy the nice tie. In the digital world, you can't enter the e-shop meant for French people. The same product, the same payment method, same thing, but there is a difference in the physical and in the digital world. So, if in the digital world there would be a market of 500 million consumers, any SME would jump off the roof for that. So that's the real thing that we can do on our side. What can be done on the other side? In the Eastern Partnership countries, I think most of the things have been mentioned. It's the tax system, it's the e-government services. These are the key elements. Just making it easier for the startup to function first couple of years, then it gets a bit easier for them. The truth about Spotify companies like that, they are started in Europe. Then they go to the US to scale up, to gather the money, to be able to afford coming back to the 28 separated markets. There are good ideas in Europe. Spotify was invented in Europe. Many startups initiate from Europe, originate from Europe. But to get the scale needed for 28 markets, that's why they go to Silicon Valley. And my last remark is to reflect on the democracy element of the discussion, and trade is indeed one element. But yes, we talk about Belarusian elections, and okay, we laugh, maybe politely smile, somebody chuckles. But can you imagine me lecturing that gentleman there that, okay, you should really be more democratic. You should, come on, get your act together. It's, you have now the elections. Now this time it's going to be different. I don't see myself doing this. I don't want the EU to be patronizing. But if we get these elements right, if the e-government services will start happening in these countries, these will crack open the societies, the way the state is built in an instant. You want proof? It's the Arab Spring. It's the true democracy where the demos got to the power.
overall, not to forget very important thing that, yes, the 6 Eastern Partnership countries with 75 million of the consumers, it is important for Europe. We have a great opportunity. While for us, when we were member in accession to EU, I think it took years and years to build this new legal framework, new strategy, you know, new administration things. So even for Europe to make single digital market is a big challenge. But for those Eastern Partnership countries, it's, you know, the challenge, triple challenge. And as early we would start, the quicker we make a progress in this direction.
And we are not standing in place. As I said, from the 14 main directions, 5 of them, or 6 is chosen as priorities. Feasibility study, what is the situation with the markets in the East Partnership countries is done. And these investigations shows the priorities and what must be the first steps done to really to make this harmonizing digital market. So we are just waiting only for the money.
Do you want to say something?
Only one, I can say, announcement. The time is out, and we, Digital Europe, have to make a home job to answer many asked questions here. InfoPark is a member of European Union IT Association, Digital Association, Digital Europe. We are together, okay? Thanks.
Yes, Digital Europe, European Business Association, InfoBalt, my home association, yes, InfoPark, Belarus Association, and Ukrainian Association. I hope that, you know, we will join our shoulders and start really going forward with full speed. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. So our time is up. Finally, on behalf of my country and the Central European Startup community, I just would like to thank Lithuania for stand up for this Eastern Partnership thing and this Eastern dimension of the digital market. It's very important, and it's a key role you have in this process. Thank you so much, and thank you for our speakers as well and your attendance. Thank you, and have a nice day.